Hi everyone, this is Doug with B&H. Today, as you can see, we're outside, and sunlight is not the most attractive way to light someone. There we go, much better. Sunlight is harsh and contrasty, it's a little too powerful most of the time. Now, what you could do is bring much bigger lights into the mix, but it's easier, in most cases, to just bring light modifiers. This is diffusion, and as you can see, while we're using a simple reflector diffusion here, in this other shot we're using a 4x4 grid with a half-stop diffusion silk fabric in between. Now I'm sure you've heard of magic hour, right? Magic hour happens twice a day and it has this wonderful golden light with very colorful shadows. The only problem is you only have so much time to shoot in magic hour, so you have to be careful getting this kind of shot. The easier way to shoot this, of course, is in the shade. Shooting in the shade allows you to use more diffused ambient light to fill the scene and gives you more consistent lighting throughout. Just make sure to avoid shooting brightly lit backgrounds as it can take away from the foreground. The other option you have is to shoot on an overcast day. An overcast sky acts as basically a gigantic piece of diffusion, keeping it more consistent throughout the day. This also means that you can avoid bringing more modifiers into the scene and lets you shoot much longer. Speaking of modifiers, that of course brings us to bounce boards and reflectors. Now those modifiers tend to be either large white or silver surfaces that reflect light back onto the subject. Notice in this shot here we're using a reflector to bounce light just ever so slightly onto the subject's face. You can see the difference before and after. Now the final thing you have to keep in mind is proper exposure. Exposing for outdoors is a little different because unlike photographers who have something like the Sunny 16 rule that they can rely on, video and film have to have stricter shutter speed or shutter angle requirements. For most video, you have to keep double the frame rate, which for 24 frames per second equals 1/48th of a second, or for shutter angle, 180 degrees. Now in this shot here, you can see that we've exposed only by aperture to f11. We've used no filtration whatsoever. In this next shot, we've exposed by reducing the aperture all the way down to f2.8. But we've also brought our ISO down to 800 and added 2 stops of ND to make up the difference. Now with our cameras, we have built-in ND filters, but in many cameras' cases, you can use screw-on or matte box varieties, and there's also variable ND filters that allow you to dial in your neutral density manually. Shooting outside can be challenging, but if you plan carefully and know how and when to use the sunlight available, you can create fantastic shots with minimal gear. From B&H, my name is Doug. Thanks for watching.